Oh, hello, hello. I can see the mic moving. The chat seems to be working. Maybe everything's okay. Maybe. Guess we'll see. Hi. We're back doing the thing. Hello, host of Bodafel. Hello, Indy. Nice to see you both, as always. So on the good hand, on the one hand, on the good side, on the one hand, on the good one hand. I don't know. It's been a morning. It's finally nice weather out there. It's been miserable. And now today is sunny and warm and it's beautiful, and I am going to go out for the longest freaking walk this afternoon. However, because of that, it also means that the daycare downstairs is out and loud, and very loud. Despite the fact that we're 5 floors above them, the playground is like right below, and to me it sounds like they're just outside the window and just like screaming children, just like, oh, it's a lot. But anyway, hi. Relatively chill stream today because I got a lot of hand sewing to do, and I'm making a legally distinct celebrity amphibian, as you can possibly tell. So I got to finish some hand sewing, and then we're going to get to some draping, and it's all stuff you've all seen before. So we're just kind of chilling and doing the thing. Everything sounds good though. Nice. Okay. Yes. Good. It also looks okay. The light levels seem a bit better. My black shirt is blending into the black everything else, of course, but you know, welcome to life as a goth, right? I forgot to put any jewelry on. Oh well. I don't think it'll be missed. Only by me. So, yeah, this is it, baby. This is today. I am working on a commission currently. But I'm waiting for some feedback. And I can't really do anything until I get that feedback. So, you know. So not the 4th stream in a row making ears. No, believe it or not, today. Good point. And no, not today. We are not making, well, you know, celebrity amphibians don't have ears that we can see, at least. So, first for a change, no ears today. No. Did we do ears last week? Maybe we did. I guess, oh yeah, we did too, because it was the goblin last week, wasn't it? That's right. But anyway, there's probably I gotta think of things to talk about, because there's gonna be a lot of this. What you're seeing right now is this. Still wanted to do it though. We've been on a good run, good streak with the streaming, both this and the game streaming. So I want to keep the momentum up. So you might have ear holes. I mean, might. You know. Yes, I am currently sewing a mouth plate, a fabric. Actually, it's inaccurate to call these fabric mouth plates, although I always do. These are mouth linings, I suppose, technically. But yeah, it's gonna be this, and then we're gonna be draping a body. So welcome to relatively chill stream. I do want to get this done, although I've got, like, on my schedule, I've got this week and next to do both this and the commission. I'm working on the commissions already well underway. I just need some input from the client. Although tomorrow I gotta go to the dentist. When it's just a spring checkup, but I'm sure, I mean, I feel like everything's okay, but every time I go to the dentist, it's always never good news, you know? Those of you who've been around a while may have a memory of my dental traumas. They will never be over. At 57, your dental traumas are just beginning, my friends. Let me prime the pump for that. I know. I am borderline phobic, but you gotta do it. Gotta do what you gotta do. It'll be worse if you don't. So, as somebody who's been to worse and back, trust me, you don't want that. So yeah, let's see what's been going on. Not a lot, actually. It was a short week last week with. It wasn't so much Good Friday, it's just okay Friday. But I'm finally going to be doing content that isn't my ambulance. Oh, nice. My mother-in-law's car lost his water pump. Well, related, you know, related. Hey. What we need is more people doing real things on the internet. That's just my opinion. But I'm happy for anybody doing something that is actual IRL. You know? Well, and not horrible. Which that counts. For those of you who don't know, Indy's you're restoring an ambulance for the Ghostbusters thing, right? If I remember correctly, I fear it has been a while since I checked in, but if I remember correctly, you are active in the Ghostbusters cosplay community and have an ambulance that you're making into an Ecto 1, right? Is that not what's happening? I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. Please correct me if not. But that's cool. I'm trying to think of more catch up. So we are. Yes, there we go. That's wild. Like the paint job, and I don't know anything about cars, like nothing. I've made an attempt at driving once and it didn't go well. So, you know, not my wheelhouse at all. I would defer to your good expertise, but I understand that painting a car is not necessarily straightforward. Not a matter of getting the spray paint out and going to town, you know? Isn't there like... You gotta do it in a clean room or something. There's like, it's all like static based and there's hazmat suits and stuff involved. Am I off the mark there or what? I don't know. I might just be making stuff up now. Go with it. It sounds really interesting. Pretend I'm correct. We were discussing cars on in chat this morning in the Gamers Tavern. Shout out Gamers Tavern, the good folks on the Fediverse. And you know, like I said, I'm not a car guy. I don't know from cars, so you know, imagine my horror when the things they were discussing were about like the current ecosystem in cars being like everything's a subscription model. Surprise, surprise, and like touch screens everywhere. It, like, again, this is how not into cars I am. I am not incorrect in saying that it seems like touch screens in cars is a bad idea for like actually running stuff in the car. Why? Well, we know why, but still, bad idea. So apparently some manufacturers are finally going, you know what, this is a bad idea. Let's go back to actual you know, physical tactile controls that you can do without actually taking your eyes off the freaking road. Even I, a non-driver, can at least grasp that. Probably a good idea to watch the road. But what do I know? I guess that's the question. Does anybody actually like the touchscreens other than the executives who are doing it for ulterior reasons? Does anybody actually like the touchscreens in the cars? Learn carpentry and electrical with the ambulance. Wow. Wow. But you know what? That's awesome in that, it's a bit like the puppet building thing in that there's all kinds of skills that you need to, or is helpful to learn, that seem on the surface unrelated. Also, a bad idea in cars. Dodge put in a shifter in the cars and trucks for a bit. It's the same shape and size as the air conditioning control, so no. So you think you're turning the aircon on and you're actually shifting gears? Or vice versa. I didn't shift gears, but suddenly it's pleasant in here. Yeah. Anyway, I'll catching up. Let me think. Dead air. I don't know. Do you really care about dead air? I don't think anybody in this stream, I don't think anybody cares about dead air, which is a good thing. This is supposed to be the chill stream. They managed to avoid the touchscreen error in cars. Yeah. Like I said, I've grown up my entire adult life in the city, or at least near enough to public transit that it just never became a thing. It was never like a thing I could ever afford anyway, and I was just not into car culture like, dudes my age. So it was just not a thing, not really on my radar, and by the time it became on my radar, it was too late. I have the controls for stuff on the steering wheel, but the touchscreen radios, yeah. Somebody on the discourse on Gamers Tavern this morning was saying that like one of their heating controls or something is like 2 tabs over or something. The thing that should take like a button press takes like multiple taps, which is not ideal. Use touchscreen radio, but I never use the controls on the steering wheel. It used a lot. Yeah, I can imagine that. But again, because it's right there, right? I don't know. For me, it seems a lot like, designers who look at like what cool sci-fi things look like and then try to design to that rather than practicality. Cybertruck, cough, cough. It's like I think of all the interfaces that Tony Stark uses. He's like floating holographic touch displays, right? They look really cool, but if you think about it, in actual life, that would be a nightmare to use. Like you shouldn't have complete transparency on any screen you're trying to interact with. It's just terrible. You get visually lost, and it's particularly something that wouldn't have any actual tactile feedback, right? It's just floating in the air. It's like you're just pointing at stuff. If you ever tried to use one of those, I remember I think it was ThinkGeek sold this like laser projected keyboard that would just project an image of a keyboard in laser light on your desktop, and you were supposed to type with that, and you could not type with it. It was just awful because there's no tactile feedback. You're human, you're made of flesh, you need something there to actually respond to you. Never discount the requirements of the flesh, says the guy who builds physical objects for a living. Call me crazy, but what else has been going on? Not a lot. Andrew has returned, so we are in fact going to be recording a podcast tomorrow night together. I have an idea for like just a kind of quick one-off monologue-y sort of podcast that might go into the between weeks. I don't know if anybody actually wants that, but I got some ideas for it that I think might be useful and entertaining. Kind of like what I would be doing with the blog if I was actually still writing my blog. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's more of a time thing. I've actually been doing okay with getting stuff done hashtag content wise, so I want to keep things moving. Anything to listen to on the road trip this weekend? Well, I got good news for you, my friend, because it's been 3 weeks since we've done a podcast together, and so I'm sure it may go long. Although I'm not sure there's been a whole lot of video game / tech news, at least nothing worth talking about. Although that has never stopped us before, has it? It's one thing that Andrew and I can do. It's talk a lot. It's a good thing we got a podcast. So yeah, the podcast will be recorded tomorrow night and should be out Saturday morning. At least Eastern time, Saturday morning. We're getting there. Started out around here, and now we're all the way down to here, so we're getting there. After this, it's exciting draping, so. The weather, I'm going to go on about the weather again, I apologize, but it's old man brain. I can't help it. Being an old man. Like yesterday was miserable. It was freezing cold, and like it just, the weather is schizophrenic right now, right? It's all over the place, and it's one day is beautiful, the next day is miserable, and it's just constant. It's been like that for weeks. I know Follow the Thess finally said they're doing Fallout 3 and New Vegas in the new game engine rather than all the speculating. Oh. Unless IGN is making things up. Well, honestly, who knows these days? Anybody, any large outlet that doesn't explicitly say we don't use AI has at least a non-zero percentile chance of just making stuff up, so. You know, who knows? IGN is quite large, so. But anyway, today is beautiful, and it looks like the warm-ish weather may be sticking around for a while, so I just need to get out again. I have completely burned out on using the exercise bike or the gym. It's just miserable. It's just torture. And I love going on long walks. I don't love doing any other form of exercise. So I put on a little bit of winter weight, and I really want to get rid of it. So I think the tide is turning at long last. I'd like to drop it before TennoCon in July. That would be real nice, because gotta look good to meet my fellow Tenno. But yeah, that's kind of it. Not a lot's been happening. Probably for the better, all things considered. Been thinking about what else I want to build this month. So I've just got the one commission, and then I got nothing. So that's when I go, okay, what do I feel like building? So after the commission and legally distinct celebrity amphibian, I'm actually thinking, it's been a while since I did a live hands blink mech monster. And I have all this bright pink fleece all like almost hot pink fleece fur, I should say. So I think a pink furry blink mech monster might be on the horizon here. Which is always fun. I think it's time for a lozenge. But before that, excuse me. Oh, the children are out and being loud. I don't know if you can hear that. Possibly, probably not. I can see the mic moving when the kid is crying, so it seems to be just, yeah, you can hear, there you go. See, I told you. Now, right now, it just sounds like one kid having a meltdown. It's usually several simultaneously. It's this chorus of screaming. You wonder why I'm a little tense. Could be living next to constant screaming that does it. I think the music covers it. I can hear you talk on the music. Yeah, so I've got auto ducking now. So whenever I talk, the music should be lowering. Or whenever there was activity on the mic, the music should be lowering, I should say. Only took how many years for me to set up a thing that I really should have had from the beginning? Okay, we're getting there. I've done 3 quarters. We're down to the last quarter. One thing I discovered just before the stream is I was messing around with some stuff on the PeerTube server. We move a little at a time, very little, at very rare times. I was checking the PeerTube server, and it turns out, because I was changing stuff around, it turns out I accidentally deleted the recurring live stream endpoint for this. So I had to like hastily recreate it. I checked, it's running, it's going, so still. That was a bit of last minute. Oh dear. Okay, so yeah, it was a big whoops. Something happened on so PeerTubes, there was a bug release. They've implemented a new thumbnailing generation system, but it seems in my case to have broken the previous thumbnail. So if you go and look at the archives, like everything that's past the front page on the PeerTube server, all of the thumbnails are broken. I have to go and fix them when I get time. Oopsie. Welcome to open source, kids. It ain't perfect, but at least it's, you know, not that. Not that corporate garbage. Which still breaks, but also exploits you at the same time, so, you know. It's funny, you know, I've reached the point, like I was messing around with some stuff on my CashOS install on my desktop in the office, and, you know, something broke. Some update, because CashOS is a rolling release, so they're always doing the bleeding edge updates, and that means that stuff can break, and stuff broke. But it's like, because I've learned enough, it wasn't stressful at all. I just rolled back to the previous release because I have proper snapshots set up. saw what was going on, fixed it, updated, and it was all fine. It's like knowing how to fix stuff is better than worrying about it breaking and then not having any, agency to do anything about it. At least for me. But I was thinking the other day, that seems to be like a fundamental disconnect with people. I was going to say of a certain generation, but I don't think that's fair. I think that it's more just like, well, people are busy, right? But we've kind of lost the thought that we should fix things, or that we should fix things. I should emphasize. Right? It's like, because we don't really own anything, we just wait for them to fix it if it's broken. And I think that's the idea that things can be fixed and that you have the ability to fix it, I think is a fundamental thing. It's the whole right to repair thing, right? And I think there's a real fundamental shift that happens in your thinking when you start looking at things like that. I'm limping along some gaming laptop in 2022. I spent a lot of time fixing and modding to keep it running. Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? It's like, and as we have talked about on the podcast, now more than ever, keeping your old hardware going. It's not just like, it's no longer a statement, or it's now like a necessity, because there is no new hardware that anybody can afford, right? It's now just the way things have to be. Which seems a bit desperate, but it's also not really a bad thing. I think, as we've seen, more and more people are just getting so fed up that's everyone's got a line. The line just changes depending on the person, but more and more people are getting to that line where they're just fed up and looking for an alternative. A lot of them bounce off, free open source stuff like Linux, and that's totally understandable. And a lot of them just don't have the time or don't have the option because, they have to do work for an office that uses nothing but Microsoft products. So, using OpenShot for a long while on it. I am unfamiliar with OpenShot. If you are looking for a decent free open source video editing platform that is quite powerful and very free and cross-platform, it runs on everything, Kden Live, KDEN Live, is what I use now for like everything. Very well regarded and can do a lot. There's your open source tip of the week. I also just installed, now speaking of software, this is stuff we probably won't cover on the podcast. This is actually kind of worth talking about now. I've been looking around for, like, I still have an iCloud subscription and stuff, so like, because I have an iPhone, all of my stuff does still live in iCloud, but I also have made a sincere effort to kind of have my own local backups of stuff, just in case. I don't like the idea of somebody else having absolute control over if I can access my photo archives or not, for example. Be it Apple, Google, Microsoft, whoever. It's like, I want that stuff locally for me. And thankfully I've got plenty of storage to be able to do that. And I recently installed on one of my servers an open source piece of software called Image. IMMICH, I believe is how it's spelled. It's like fun spelling of image. It's Image. And it's kind of like, it's a bit like Apple's photo thing or Google Photos. It's that kind of, here's your photo archives. We can organize them into albums. We can use machine learning to, detect faces and tag things and whatever. It's pretty good. And my phone just automatically backs up to that now. So it's pretty darn good. And it means that if I ever decide or Apple ever decides that I've lost access to iCloud, it's okay. I still got all my stuff. And that's just kind of where, not just out of political, motivation, but just out of necessity, really. You want to lose all your photo archives? Probably not, And I think more and more people are just kind of waking up to the fact that we need to claw back some of the agency we used to have, right? But here I am preaching to the Puppet community on open source software. No wonder hardly anybody watches my stuff. What a weird mix we have here. Hey, if it wasn't a weird mix, I wouldn't be doing it. The good news is I'm almost done sewing this mouth plate in, so we'll be getting on with the draping. Also, my throat's getting a frog in my throat. Huh? See what I did there? Lozenge dye. But yeah, the last few episodes of the Oracle have all been done on Caden Live. Highly recommended. Speaking of the Oracle, I did finally finish the script for the next episode of the Oracle. So we know what it is, we know what it's going to be. It's just, when am I going to get a chance to sit down and shoot it? That's the only unknown at this point. Hopefully this weekend. Good heavens, it's been half an hour of me sitting here and sewing. It's a good thing hardly anybody's here, huh? Well, don't worry if you missed the stream, because you didn't miss much. Like I said, this is the way it goes sometimes, I'm not sure how many more actual discrete tutorial videos I'm going to do, because I was looking at the numbers and they don't get a lot of views. I'm not sure why, but I think there's a combination of factors, but it's like they take a non-inconsiderable, it's a weird way of saying that, amount of effort to do, and I don't think it's really worth it. But who knows? That's the thing about 2026. It can all just turn around in a second, right? That's part of the stress, I think, is that everything can just change so fast. So when you feel exhausted, just remember, everything can just change in an instant. And maybe this time it'll be a good change. Unlikely, I grant you, but it could happen. Okay, last couple of stitches, here we go. And And done. Tie it off. And there we go. I mean, to roll into another shot. You know, that's the thing, right? I was one of the reasons that my fortunes have been on the wane, as it were, just in terms of the success of the business, is really timing, because during COVID and lockdown, right, before the cost of living crisis, when suddenly everybody was shut indoors and therefore weren't going to the office, still had some degree of income, and had all this extra time, people were doing hobbies all of a sudden, right? And that gave Operation Puppet a bit of a boost, because I started it right at the time that people wanted to, like, you know, do stuff like this. So that's changed. People have no money or time anymore. So hobbies are, you know, on the wane, which is a sad state of affairs, but not surprising. Let's see where we're at here. Yeah, that turned out pretty good. I know you can't really see it, but it's a nice clean lip line. That's what you want. Very mangled looking celebrity amphibian right now, but don't worry, well, that'll change. So now I have to get on with the draping of the body. That is next. Let me just tidy this up here a bit. Oh, the children are out and crying. Yes, I know, young person, I agree. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm just saying I wish you weren't as loud about it. We're gonna need those scissors. We're also gonna need pins. Gotta move my coffee. I'm not closing the window though. It is beautiful out, finally getting some fresh air in here, so. Let's go to the overhead cam. Where are we at here? Crooked overhead cam. Move the mouse out of the way, Kevin. Yes, Kevin. And so here we go. Here is the body that we are covering. And here is the fleece with which we are covering it. And child just having a meltdown outside. What happened to perception check? That was successful to all archival footage. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Again, this is how long it's been since I checked in on them. I did not know that. Yeah, they were on the rise for a while. Well, I know that a couple of them, that, oh gosh, Art and Danny, I think it was. I know that Art at least actually has done some work with the Muppets. Like they were and are like professional puppeteers. Like they moved on to things, and I guess perception check just kind of didn't have time for it, you know. Which in a way is a success story. So good for them. Okay, I gotta stand up for this, so enjoy my torso once again. But we are going to see where we're at. So I'm gonna Art and Danny are busy with big time puppetry with the mouse. Yep, I thought so. Good for them. I'm not in the least bit jealous. He says, with mild seething. How do you like Judge Boing Boing? I haven't seen it yet, although I have heard of it. Believe it or not. Again, this is me who's like just completely oblivious to all mass media, so but I have heard of it. I did see the trailer. Art was voicing a certain celebrity amphibian for use in commercials. I did not know that. Well done, Art. That's something. Okay, I'm gonna go here. So we want to mark this. And how far down do we want to go? So down about here. Yeah, again, this is me, like, just not, my head's in the sand. I do my own stuff, and it's not really on the agenda for me to pay attention to what other people are doing, unfortunately. It's probably for the best. Yeah, isn't, like, I know Frank Oz is involved with that Judge Boing Boing thing. Bill Beretta as well, right? What's Frank Oz actually doing? I'm assuming it's just like executive producer or something. He's like, yeah, you can put my name on it. You can hear shouting that the this is the daycare attendants. You know, keeping the kids calm by shouting at them. That'll definitely work. Okay, so we arbitrarily decide where a back seam is going to be. I have arbitrarily decided is about here. And gotta start getting the pins. This is the fun part where I get to poke myself a lot. That looks good. So I got a good feeling about this one. All right, let's start getting some pins in there. And this is exactly the same process as that tutorial that I did a while ago. We're just gathering up the extra fabric, pinning it down to where we want the seams to go, and then trimming it away. Any opinions out there about Judge Boing Boing? I have not indulged myself yet. My pleasure, Golden Light. I'll be here. Fear not. Yeah, I'm not, this isn't a tutorial video, so I'm not really describing what I'm doing, but I do have a tutorial video on this exact process of draping. So, like literally doing this. So you can go and look for that in the archives. Trying to get my seams a little straighter than I usually do. It's always one of my weaknesses. Fineco, nice to see you. Hello, hello. Getting the band back together. All right, I'm just gonna go and put another one up here, and then we can start trimming some fabric away. How straight is that? That doesn't look too bad. Guess we'll find out in a moment. There we go. We just lay the pins down. Try not to have too many wrinkles if you get away with it. Okay, let us trim away. I'm not gonna go right down yet. I want to do this in like stages. So there we go. Now, how's that gonna go? It seems all right there. That we're gonna fold it around. So yes, yes. Now this pin is kind of in the way because just outside of the helpful area. Trying to go a bit slower. Because usually when I'm on stream, I'm kind of rushing. Don't really need to do that. I have this week and next for this and the commission. So I don't really need to rush. So it's probably good. It's good to not rush when you don't have to rush. Okay, I think I can actually start sewing. I'm going to trim away some of the excess at the top here. We definitely don't need all that. Ooh, I can stand up again. I want to make sure I have enough to wrap it around. There's a bit of traffic outside, apparently. All right, here we are. So now I'm going to start stitching this down. I want to trim it a little bit more. There's a little bit of a lip. The tighter, the closer you can get this down to the surface, the better. I heard that horn, yeah. It was pretty loud. Funny, I was just thinking the knock-on effects. Like I'm so looking forward to the long walk I'm planning on taking after lunch. not the least of which, because that's when I discover new music. Is this when I just like, you know, let the algorithm suggest things as I'm walking? It's the only time I really listen to new music is if I'm just sitting down and, you know, playing a game or something, and I'm putting on music it's because I want to hear something specific for that moment, right? And my new music discovery is always when I'm out on a walk. All right, where should we start from? Probably, I'm going to start from the bottom just because this is the one where it's okay if it's a bit because we're going to put a sleeve on the bottom of this anyway. So, yeah, no. Doesn't have to be perfect. Which is good because it's not going to be. Just get a couple of pins in here to secure it in place while I do this. This is where I'm going to eventually glue it down to the boning side there. So just do that. Yeah. Okay. Hey, look at that thread. I'll start it here, but I may have to switch to the you know, chat cam and just gonna do a close up to my face because this is awkward to try and sew like this, so we will see. I also am feeling the urge for more coffee, and it is almost 11. I could just go and get some more coffee. I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna thread this needle and I'm gonna go get some more coffee. You gotta say coffee like that. It makes it taste better. All right. Needle is threaded. I am going to go and get another cup of very stale coffee, and I will be right back. Hello, Joe. Yeah, now I got Frankie in my head. You know, Indy had to mention. Yeah, I know. It's one of the few accents that I can do just like effortlessly. So there's a reason Frankie talks like this. You know, I don't even have to think about it anymore. In fact, sometimes I have to think about stopping because it's like that. It do be like that. Okay. So we are going to start with the stitching of the fleece. And we're just going to ladder stitch all the way up as you do. This is the back seam, so this is going to be the quote-unquote ugly one. Although hopefully not very. but time will tell. I'd be tempted living where you are to have Frankie out the window with the kids. Troll sleeping, be quiet. You know, I would, if I didn't have like the screen on the window, I could just take Frankie and poke his head out the window. That would get a reaction. We have some kids who live down the hallway, and occasionally, you know, the parents let them out to just sort of run around and blow off some steam, which is fine. But it sounds like a herd of elephants running up and down the hallway. And I have on occasion been tempted to just grab a Kermit or something and poke his head out, going, "Hi, can you keep it down, please? There's a frog trying to sleep here." Haven't done it yet, but it's not too late. Oops. See, that's what can happen sometimes. Your thread can just have a mind of its own. When you be patient, don't pull hard. Hopefully you can coax the thread to behaving itself. If not, you start again. There we go. The little gentle persuasion. So now that I've started it like this, I think with your indulgence, since I'm not doing a tutorial, I'm going to sit back and sew this how I would normally, comfortably, like this. And we can just chat or whatever. Listen to the lovely music, which I can barely hear, by the way. I'm sure you can hear it more than I can. Oh, this is so much easier doing it like this. That's one of the problems with the live stream, of course, is if I'm trying to show what I'm doing, I have to do it in an awkward position that's not necessarily conducive to doing it well. But I guess this is valuable to see too. This is how I normally do stuff like this. I'm sitting with it like right in front of my face, right? And when I can place the finger there as I'm drawing the thread through, I can keep the thread from tangling. It's another factor in this whole thing. Fortunately, it would be better if I actually could raise up a little bit, but oh, maybe I can actually. Maybe I can pull my chair up. Hey, how's this? That's actually kind of nice. I usually have my chair as low down as possible because I'm kind of a low rider, but people who work on models or everybody else work with the camera right in front of their faces. I know, I don't know. I wish I did know. I wish the one use I could ever think of for something like Google Glass. But guess what? They ain't using anything like that. I ain't using those freaking Meta glasses. For reasons similar to what we were discussing previously with, you know, big tech and privacy, etc., etc. You know, all those tired talking points I keep yapping on about. One day I'll be proven right. It'll definitely happen, right? Look how well it's worked out for me so far. Some channels I watch the GoPro mounts to their foreheads. Okay. That seems still get in the way. I know. Yeah, I know. Believe me, I've thought about this. I have tried all kinds of things. The best thing I think I've come up with is the camera that's on the overhead cam has a really good optical zoom. So, you know, those times when I'm like, I've got something on the stand there and I'm trying to ladder stitch it, I can zoom in really well and the camera isn't in my way, but the optical lens is still seeing all of the details. So it's the little things you just don't see it. What mystifies me is people who are able to shoot stuff on the sewing machine well. That I have to look into because I don't do it well. Make Orwell fiction again. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's not an instruction manual, you know. Do not build the torment nexus. All right, I'm gonna trim this up a little bit here. This is a considerably straighter line than I usually get, which is nice. Okay, well, so this is a very chill stream. This is probably the most chill stream I've done in a very long time. It'll happen. Rarely, but it will happen. This is what comes out of not planning for this stream, of just like going, well, I'm just gonna do my daily work and turn the cameras on. Yeah, this is coming along well. Draping is magical, it really is. There's something so fascinating about the process where it looks like such a mess when you start and then it just cleans itself up as you go. It's really neat. Let's watch the trailer for Judge Boing Boing. That's awesome. Yeah, I know, it looks promising. Wait, does that mean you hadn't heard of it? I had heard of something you hadn't, like somebody else. I knew of a media property before somebody else. That never happens. I am always the last to learn about anything like that. Comes from my allergy to corporate social media, you know. Which honestly has not done me any favors business-wise. I'm sure it's one of the reasons why I've been like struggling for years now. Oh well, it's a choice I made, you know. See, there we go. Here's yet another reason to tune into the stream, because you'll learn about new puppet projects. I learn about new puppet projects all the time from you nice folks. I was actually thinking just before the stream, you know, for a stream like this, when I don't really, there's not a lot exciting happening, I'm just doing stuff I've done before, it would be really nice to like collaborate and like have, you know, two people, not even necessarily puppet builders, although that would be ideal, but like just two people working on, like two artists working on stuff and just doing the stuff they do and just like chatting, like get a you know, like a voice call going or something. That might be neat. And then, like, as we're working, we can show off what we're doing. And I think there might be an idea there. Possibly even a good idea. I think that would just be like a pleasant and entertaining stream for people to watch, you know? I am trying to come up with like nice, chill ideas to give people pleasant distractions. I think pleasant distractions are in demand. Wouldn't you agree? All right, we're going. We're getting there. See, haven't blended it yet, obviously, but we're getting there. Always do as a shared pattern and see how each artist does differently. Yeah, see, yeah. Concept stuff like that would be cool. I just don't know anybody who would, you know, because then there's the logistics of like, okay, we got to do the thing, then we got to set up the tech side of it, the call, have that be able to be broadcast. Obviously, wear headphones or whatever, but, and then coordinate on timing and like, you know, there's whole layers of stuff beyond just the, hey, this is a good idea. The idea is always the easy part. Please take note, AI bros. Having the idea is not what makes you like good at something. That's a good idea though, the whole like start from a pattern and then like both make something and then see how you differ. It's a cool idea. Well, it wouldn't even be bad for just like a video series, right? Yeah, no, that's a good idea, Andy. I like it a lot. This warrants further thought, at least. Like, I should have all of the technical capabilities that I need to do that. And then again, that would also depend on the other person having, like, you know, at least voice, if not, and also camera, obviously, capabilities. Although, you know, so many people have that now that that's probably not a big ask. Not going to say it's as nice a quality as this camera. It doesn't have to be. It could just be a webcam, but still. It's a good idea, and I just poked myself with a pin. So you'll remember. All right, this is coming along. This is looking all right. Getting up to the tricky area where we start tapering inwards for the top. This is where I'll often take pins out and reposition them. In fact, I may just use a clip over here to keep it in place. Seems prudent. Yeah, that's good. I have a good feeling about this particular legally distinct celebrity amphibian. I think the color, I mean, the color is more the modern builds. The ones I've been doing lately, I have termed as retro color schemes because they're far more the muted colors of previous celebrity amphibians. Look how hard he's trying to not say the name. Look, we all know. And therefore, I don't have to say it because we all know. All right, there. See how clean that line is? That's what we're talking about there. That nice clean curve. That's what we're aiming for. Alright, now I am at the very top here. I still got quite a bit more fabric than I need, but that's okay. We'll sort that out later, but I am going to switch stitches now. To a whip stitch, just so I can lock it down and really anchor it in place. This is definitely the most chill stream I've done in a very long time. I mean, I know there's been other streams. I think there's been streams where I've just had to do the whole thing hand sewing because this just happened to be what I was working on. This is pretty close to that. Alright, we're going to leave it here like this because I don't want to go too far. I am probably going to end up trimming off a lot of the stuff on the top here, so let us tie it off. We'll start on the next drape. I'm just going to get another chunky knot in there just to make sure it holds. Okay, there we go. So, we can go back to the overhead cam. The world needs more hand sewing, it's true. It's genuinely pleasant, I find. So there we go, there's our seam. Looks a little rough right now, but I haven't blended it, so. But there's how you can see the profile. It's a nice curve. That's what we want. And then up at the top and the bottom, this is all going to get sort of wrapped around like that. So that's good. That's what we want. Okay. So now that we know that's where we're going, now I'm going to have to stand up again for this just so I can get a kind of top-down view of it. This is the top, this is the bottom. So obviously we don't want this bagginess. And I want to put 2 darts in the side, like that, and get the front to lay down flat. I want to try and get them even. So, this is always the tricky part. Trying to get this down to a straight line. I don't want to squeeze too hard because then you end up distorting the foam. You just kind of want to let the fabric lay down naturally. Get a feel for it here. Also want to try and put these behind the arms, if possible, because that way it just leaves the entire front seam free. And see, this is going in the, I don't want it to go in that direction because it's going towards the front. I'd much rather have it going towards the back. But sometimes it's just going to do what it's going to do, and you have to accommodate. Alright, I'm going to start. Will probably be adjusted as I go, but just got to start somewhere, so start there. I am using the segments of the body as a kind of guide for where the cardinal points of the compass are, as it were. Because there's our back seam, so we want to put these at a parallel angle to that, or not parallel, in opposition. Parallel would be as if it was running in the same direction. Words. Great. Let's do that one again. Okay. How's that? Doesn't look too bad. I think that's probably livable. I actually enjoy hand sewing. Thank you, my puppets, from eventually falling apart, needing a patchwork. My horrible hand sewing, I do it a lot more. It really is just practice. And remember, Indy, every puppet needs repairs. Doesn't matter. I guarantee you the ones made by the mouse also need repairs. Probably a lot more than yours do, because they're getting used so heavily. Alright. Yeah, it looks like on the bottom we're not going to need big ones at all. This ended up being quite tidy, which is good. The whole point of this is to try and minimize the number of seams that you got, right? So smaller is better. Anyone that has needed lots of repairs. Mine is on display at corporate. I made for our CEO's birthday. I remember you talking about that. Very cool. I've been pretty fortunate with the cast of the Oracle. I mean, they don't get a lot of heavy usage, obviously, but Frankie is the only one that's actually needed a repair. So far, the Oracle has been good, although I suspect some of his teeth may need to be re-anchored. Guess we'll find out next time I shoot. They flat out stated that in the secrets of the Muppets when they asked why they were working on what was obviously a new Gonzo. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Alright, this looks pretty good. I think we'll go with this. So you see, I've just got 4 darts, 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom. We're just going in tight to the body like that, and we're just going to trim this fabric away and then ladder stitch them all closed. So don't trim your fingers along with the fabric. I don't do what I almost just did. It's tough because you want to get, you know, right down in there, but you also don't want to trim your fingers. Okay, good enough. We can start sewing. Which, of course, my chair is higher than normal. It feels weird. I'm gonna be doing like this. Speaking of this, coffee. 11:23. Thank you if you've been sitting with me for an hour and a half of this freaking stuff. Threading a needle. Yeah, I think somebody, it may have even been here that I talked about before. I know that there's a vintage in the archives, the Henson Archives in New York. There's a vintage Kermit repair kit that they used to have on set because, of course, you needed it. I'd love to see what's in that thing. I mean, it's probably needle and thread, you know, some scissors. Probably what you'd expect. It would just be like, you know, of the right color, of the right thread. Still, it's a holy relic, you know. Okay. Speaking of speaking, lost much time. And away we go. You comfy back there, Frog? A little disturbing to watch this happening. Thread decides to not cooperate once again. It's always on the first couple stitches I find. I guess the thread is the longest on the first couple stitches, so that's where it's got the most room to travel and therefore the most chances to tangle. Once you get it going, though, you can pretty much chill about that stuff. You gotta find the rhythm, you know? There's a definite rhythm. Sometimes I'll use a curved needle for this, and sometimes I won't, and I'm not exactly sure why I decide what I decide when I decide it. In this case, it doesn't feel like it needs a curved needle. It feels kind of good with the straight needle. I think it's because I have a little more play in the fabric. At Dragon Con, they have these people called cosplay medics. Yep. Oh yeah, I know. Heroes. Wandering around with needle and thread. Last year, I got one of them who picked up a pop steam on one of my puppets. Very nice. Dr. Froggenstein assembling the monsters. Faithful assistant looks on. Basement in horror. You know. And remember, Froggenstein is the name of the doctor. Speaking of things I haven't seen, I really have to watch that Del Toro Frankenstein. No, I have not seen it yet, and yes, I'm as surprised as you. And yes, I do know what to expect because I have, in fact, read the original book. Although, the thing I did not realize that I recently found a YouTuber literature essayist. There was a later edition of Frankenstein that had some relatively significant edits in it by Mary Shelley that I did not know, and has a slightly different tone to the original, which is really interesting. She went through it and made the comparisons between the initial edition and the revised edition. I had no idea that there was another edition of Frankenstein. The changes are not good. She got quite a bit more conservative in her age, and there's some pretty heavy colonial themes. But still, it's interesting to know. I have always maintained that, particularly if you read the original book, it's really not an anti-science book. That's how it's presented most of the time, right? Yeah, right. I read the book back in college myself, right? So at least somebody else has read the book. But it's usually presented as, and I mean, even the title of the book, right? The Modern Prometheus. As a sort of anti-science, man was not meant to create life, etc. But it really isn't that. The actual sin of Victor isn't in creating the creature. His motivations for creating the creature are noble, right? So it's the motivation of modern medicine. It's in that when it's not perfect, he abandons it. And it's the not taking responsibility for your actions. That's the problem, or that's the real crisis in the book. And that's something that the film has done a poor job at conveying. So if you only know Frankenstein from the popular movies, I think that's why the Del Toro Frankenstein created this sort of, and I guess to a lesser extent the Kenneth Branagh Frankenstein, because that more closely followed the novel too. trim this up a little bit. I don't want too much of an overlap. So we don't want to sort of bump. Yeah, this is going well. Sounds like you had a cool college, Joe. The last book I remember reading in any school setting was in high school. We read Catcher in the Rye, of course, which was fine. Definitely a novel that makes an impression on you as an adolescent, and not much else. Knowledge is knowing that Frankenstein isn't the monster. Wisdom is knowing that he is. Yeah, true. True. Yeah, but you know, another way of interpreting it is that, like, the lesson of Frankenstein is the lesson of taking responsibility for your actions, right? That seems like a pretty good lesson in 2026, if you ask me. Yeah, no, well, here's the thing. This for me was always the funny part, being, you know, being me. Growing up, I of course loved monsters. And of the popular, you know, the universal horror monsters, of your classic triumvirate of Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, and the Mummy, and all that stuff. I always liked the Frankenstein monster far and away over Dracula, right? Because Dracula was always like suave, sexy vampire man, right? And I want a monster to be a monster, right? So that's why Frankenstein's monster always appealed to me as a kid. And then as an adult, I read the books, and it was quite shocking, the contrast in. There were almost some polar opposites in Bram Stoker's Dracula. This is the brilliant part. The vampire himself is barely in it. He's presented much more like how Tolkien presents Sauron in Lord of the Rings. He's this kind of looming presence that overlies everything, but you don't ever really. There's only one. The initial chapter where you really see him a lot, and other than that, he's just kind of in the background and stuff. And it is genuinely a horror book. Like, it is way less about being sexy and way more about just like the horror of it. Frankenstein, on the other hand, is very kind of soppy and romantic and very. It's that gothic, gothic poetry, literature stuff. It's very flowery, which is weird, right? Because you think, oh, it's the one where there are corpses that are being turned into a monster. It really doesn't feel like that when you read the book. Yeah, I'm glad to know that. The Del Toro film, well, it's caused divide because it conforms largely to the book, although there are some significant omissions from the book. But nevertheless, it is still far closer to Mary Shelley's book. But yeah, it's Del Toro, right? Like, hard to go wrong with Del Toro. All right, well, there's one more theme. Or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You know what? That's one I haven't read. I didn't until recently that in the book, the fact that they were the same person was a twist ending. Oh yeah? I did not know that. Spoilers for Jekyll and Hyde. We're spoiling classic literature here. Can you spoil that? I don't know. Seems like maybe you can't. Or you shouldn't be accused of it. Where did I thought I saw somebody commenting on that recently that was the case for Jekyll and Hyde. Okay, this is going well. There's the next seam, as you can see, nice and flat where we want it to be. But yeah, I loved the novel Dracula, which is the contrast to the actual monster, right? Thank you, Indy. Thank you for dropping by, as always. In the movies, they always remove that twist. That's a shame. That seems like it's a good thing. It's like, a little late now, I guess. The other one I haven't watched, speaking of things I haven't seen, is the Robert Eggers Nosferatu. I don't know why I was really enthusiastic for it, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff, and I do not know why. Seems strange. And here's I guess this is the thing. Once something has kind of fallen out of public perception, because I am not, like, you know, I don't watch mass media, I don't watch TV and streaming stuff and all that stuff. I don't even know where I would go to watch stuff now, so certainly wouldn't go to a movie theater. What even is that? Honestly, I don't remember the last time I went to a movie theater. Now I'm thinking, what was the last movie I saw in the theater? I mean, it was definitely before the pandemic. So it was probably a Marvel movie. Is this a legally distinct celebrity amphibian under the way? It is indeed, Breakout. Nice to see you. Hello. Last time I was in a movie theater was 1996. Was Star Trek First Contact? You're kidding. Wow, even I'm not. That's impressive. Even a non-media watcher like me has seen, you know. I think the last thing I saw in a theater that actually made an impression on me, which is different. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Okay, the last movie I saw in the theater, Superman. Here's the funny thing about that. Which one? Because, like, you know, you could be talking about the Christopher Reeve film for all we know. The last movie that I saw in the theaters that actually left an impression on me was Black Panther, for sure. I saw Project Hail Mary. I think you were talking about that on the discourse, weren't you? And I have heard good things. It is one of those things I would want to read it first, though. Joe, the most recent one. Okay, right. Wasn't that what's his name? Director, Guardians of the Galaxy guy. Name slipping my brain. One of you will remember it. My brain is consumed with frog at the moment. This is the thing. Hand sewing is hypnotic, right? It's just like, well, I'm here now. It is now. There's a meditative quality to it that's really quite nice, and I'm sure has improved my mental health. As much as it can be. James Gunn, thank you. See, I knew it. There we go. I knew y'all would have my back. Still haven't seen the third Guardians of the Galaxy. I grew deeply allergic to Chris Pratt, so unfortunately he has rather ruined it for me. Yeah, seems like James Gunn really, he gets this stuff on it, like, well, as you say, as a very intuitive level. He does seem to bring a bit, like a nice heart to it as well, which is good. Third Guardian of the Galaxy is very weird. I mean, weird isn't necessarily bad. That was the remarkable thing about the first, right? Was like, they really took a chance with that. That was not a guaranteed win. But this is the thing, like sometimes when you take a chance and you try something weird, it works. Sometimes, not so much. But I'm always happy when they do take a chance and try something that isn't just some, you know, the demographics and the focus groups say this kind of a thing. But I mean, like I say, I am so allergic to Chris Pratt that I don't think I ever will watch it. I don't think I ever could. This was the first Superman movie to me that felt like a Superman comic. It's bonkers to see on the big screen. Yeah, Superman's really interesting. I think Superman, for me at least, is interesting in the same way that Captain America is interesting. It presents the question, like, what if a being who had that much power was also ethical? Right? Because think about how rarely that happens in the real world. Anybody who gets power turns out to be really unethical. Welcome to 2026. But it does, both of those characters pose that question, right? And I think that's a worthy and interesting thing to explore. So that's why, like, you know, I know some people are like, you know, Superman isn't edgelordy enough for them or whatever. But I've always thought that the character itself was quite interesting, conceptually. It's a pretty, you know, high-minded way of looking at it, but nevertheless, what else you got, right? The Captain Canuck movie, you know. It's not too late. All right, I am nearing the end of this one. Last few stitches here, and we will proceed. I've been rolling my R so much because I'm trying to get into the headspace of doing the Oracle again, because I got some Oracle to shoot hopefully soon. And the Oracle must roll his R's. I think the injustice thing has got played out. Yeah, so much that people think that's just how Superman is now, and it's aggravating. Yeah, absolutely. Because that subverts the whole question at the heart of the character, right? Okay, on to the next. We only have, what, 3 more? 2 more. Don't think we'll be finishing this by the end of the stream. Nevertheless, it's been a pretty good... We've covered a lot of subjects here. I guess this is the advantage of doing an all-hand sewing stream, is that we can just, like, yak about stuff. Not sure this is going to be enough thread, but these are short ones as well, so cross your fingers. So Breakout, it can vary, but this is probably a legally distinct celebrity amphibian, such as the critter behind me. Typically takes about a week. This isn't the long part. The long part, where are they? The long part is doing the hands. This is what takes forever because each individual finger has to be done. That's the time-consuming part. Everything else goes quick-ish. But I mean, quick for a given value of quick. This is still not quick because there's so like almost everything is hand sewing. There's only a couple of machine sewn stitches in it. I do the arms machine stitch up the back, but that's it. Everything else is hand sewing. So that's what takes the most time. But it's the only way to get the seams as blended as possible. So about a week is average. For me, at least. But as you can tell, I also don't rush. You rush hand sewing, and that's when things are going to get tangled and knotted, and you have to start again, and you just end up wasting more time than saving. Oh, I've already threaded that needle. Derp. All right, let us proceed. You want to know how difficult this is for me? They just released a new Prime Warframe. Oh no, he's talking about Warframe again. They just released the Prime version of one of my favorite Warframes, and I'm not currently playing it. That's dedication. Do I want to be? You damn bippy. But I also like the ability to pay my bills, so I am going to make the puppets. We will be playing plenty of Warframe this weekend, though. Probably, at least some of which, on stream. So, that will be fun. So yeah, Breakout, this is among the slower kinds of stream, FYI, for build streams. It's usually a bit more dynamic and exciting than this. This is a super chill stream. I usually just do the work I would be doing anyway, but just turn the streaming stuff on. And at this point, I just so happen to be at this stage. So this is it. This is what you get. One example of a fast build puppet. So for me, the fastest ones are usually the things I've called sonk puppets. They're basically, I don't have any built right now to show, but they're basically a tube with a mouth, and I can get like 4 of those done in a day, if I really rush. 2 in a day is a relaxed build. 4 in a day is a rushed build. A more typical build would be something like... Let me stand up for a second here and grab one of these. So these ones, these are smalls. And these guys can take, I usually do them in batches, so this is like, I could do a couple of these in a couple of days, maybe like, you know, 2 or 3, couple of days. And this is all machine stitching, so you know you can see the seam. But this is pretty quick. We also don't have complicated hands to do. Hands are always the longest, the most time-consuming part because you got arm rods and stuff, but these ones don't have them, so these are pretty quick to do. And they're also fun and cute, so you know. So those are among the faster. Not the fastest, but probably the second fastest that I make on a regular basis. As opposed to this, which is definitely by a quite wide margin the slowest. And really the thing that determines it is how much hand sewing is there. You know. Thank you, Skeleton with Meat. Good name. Also, for all I know, very accurate. Okay. We are down to the bottom of this one. We may actually, hang on, what's the time? Ooh, 7 minutes. I don't think I can do one more of these in 7 minutes, but I guess we'll find out. We're almost done though. Almost done. We're almost done the stitching part, then I have to do the gluing. And then sort of wrapping this around and getting this as a nice finished edge, but that's not for the stream. We will at least start on the final one. Because that means it's close to lunchtime, and then that means it's close to me being able to go out for a nice long walk that I really, really need. Let me tell you. Going a bit stir crazy. But soon it will all be over. It's the stir crazy part. Then I'll just be regular crazy. Okay, the final dart. Trying to overcome the strong debilitation of a thick Ontario accent and remembering that there's an A in the word dart, not dirt. All right, last one. How tidy are you? Tidy enough. We don't need that pin. We don't need your stinking pins. All right, we're just going to close up this one here. And untangle the thread before we start. There we go. Be starting out on a bad stitch. Be the title of the first chapter of my autobiography, starting out on a bad stitch. Okay. 1:56. We could end right now. I mean, this is pretty much it. I'm just going to be going down and stitching this. We should probably call it. This ain't going to happen in 4 minutes. I guarantee you that. All right. You know what? We're going to call it. And I'm going to finish this and then have me some lunch. So, stop sewing, Kevin. It's just so hard to stop once you start. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining me for a very boring stream. Although it was very pleasant and we got a lot of good chats in. Thank you as always for joining me this weekend. There will be a podcast. There will be probably in all likelihood some game streaming because I have actually done that for the past 2 weeks. I finally kept my word and done some game streaming, and then I want to keep up the momentum. So yeah, there will be that and more stuff, and we'll be doing this again next week and all the usual stuff. So operationpuppet.com for all the links, like and subscribe, all that nonsense. You know the deal. Enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next time.